Welcome to Rockit Garage. We're back on the El Camino. We are going to be blocking the Super Build, the polyester primer, and hopefully not having to do any spot priming and fixing of major stuff. I'm hoping to just run straight into the final round of prime, get this thing painted. First thing we need to do is we're going to take some of this dry guide coat. I know people use like spray paint or cheap paint or other sorts of guide coat, but this stuff works the best in my opinion. It's kind of like charcoal. I've let this primer sit up for, I don't know, 2 weeks. Just busy with other stuff, but I know polyester doesn't shrink that much. There's slight shrinkage, but it's mostly solid, so you don't really have that shrink back problem with polyester as you do with 2K urethane or something. But I like to let the primer sit and just make sure we don't have any sand scratches not burn back through, but shrink back through. Because the last thing you want is when you're done painting, sand scratches start showing back up after you're done. That's because you didn't let the solvents burn off. And you'll never really get that out. So, if you have the time, let it sit. Hence why I don't like doing quick paint jobs. Sometimes they come out all right and you won't have problems, but sometimes they just bite you in the butt. I know I've said this before, but I'll say it again. This is not a high-end paint job, but the principles are the same no matter what. And blocking, you just gotta do it. I don't care what you say. You can run a DA over this, which is probably what I'm gonna do on final prime. I'm just gonna DA the whole car, because once I know it's essentially straight, I'm not gonna worry about getting it so dialed in that it's perfect, because honestly there's no time left in this car. What was that? Oh well. We are going to be starting with some round blocks, and I was gonna cut it with 80 grit, but I'm a little apprehensive about that because I don't want to reprime before final prime. So we're gonna be using 180 on a round block. This car is very curvy. Everything's got a convex or concave or compound curve. So, yeah. About the only thing we're gonna use a straight block for is the doors and part of the fenders, and maybe, I don't know. We'll just go with it. 180 round block, and we're gonna try to get this car done today. I don't know. Hopefully I did the body work decent. So there is a good amount of material on this car, and a lot of the low spots are kind of blocking out. The rule of thumb is you want to use the largest block on the panel that you can. This one's not the largest block, but I really don't care. It's going to be straight enough, and Like I said, the car is really curvy, so I'm taking the gamble on just running with a round block. That should be your prerogative, your decision. I'm not telling you what to do, but this is how I'm doing it, and it should come out fine. Let's talk about how many hours it takes to paint a car. And that is subjective because you can technically just open the gallon of paint up and chunk it on the car and it's painted. So it could take anywhere from 2 hours to 20 hours to 200 hours. And sometimes a lot more than that. So it just depends on the quality of the outcome that you want. If you just want a daily or something. I've painted cars that look decent for 20 hours worth of work. You can't fix dents and stuff though with that. So, and that's something you're gonna have to think about, is how many dents do you wanna fix versus how many hours you wanna put into the actual car or truck or whatever, motorcycle, boat. The LTD, which if you haven't seen videos of that, we replaced a quarter, we're doing all the body work, we're getting it in poly just like this, a little bit nicer, but actually a lot nicer. But with that being said, that car is probably gonna have probably 200 hours into that car. I'm 100 hours into it right now. I've got about 26 into the quarter panel as of like yesterday. And then everything else body-wise, stripping, epoxy, body filler, poly, taking all the trim off. We're right at 100 hours and the car's at the halfway point. I'm looking at the car right now. So yeah, car's about the halfway point. This car is, I would say, over the halfway point, and I've got about 50 hours into it. So, you know, there's a little bit of difference in how much effort I'm putting into this car. But like I said, under 100 hours, I would really enjoy having this car done. And then, which is, you know, a steal on the owner's part because I am not getting paid to do that. But like I said, I can't let this car go out just spraying color on it and letting it roll down the road. I'd at least like it to be presentable to the majority of people. I don't know. How many hours do you want to put into your car? How many hours do you want to pay for? That's a big one. You go to Mako or Earl Schaub's or whatever. Yeah, they're just going to spray paint on it. And if you got a big shop, you can get 5 or 6 people on it, but 5 or 6 people an hour is 6 man hours. That is the question. How much effort do you want to put into it? Yeah, people ask all the time, like, why does paint cost so much? The cheapest materials I could find, besides this, the poly. Everything else is the cheapest, absolute cheapest I could find, which, you know, that is what it is. However long it's gonna last is however long it's gonna last. The cheapest materials with this polyester, which this stuff's not that expensive neither. I think I'm at $2,000. That's sandpaper, tape, paper, primer, clear coat, base coat, sealer, grinder wheels and sandpaper and miscellaneous stuff. Yeah, I'm at the 2,000 mark. I'm gonna add everything up once I'm done, but that's the cheapest I could find it to do it right. The cheapest to do it right. And I skipped some steps. You know, I didn't put epoxy on this car because it's just not in the budget. And you don't need epoxy. So I like using it, but you don't need it. I've done plenty of paint jobs. My Falcon over there was not epoxied, and that's 12 years old, that paint job. It's got some waves in it though, because I was young and dumb, but I didn't think blocking actually mattered back then. Oh, it does. When you spray clear coat on it, you see it. So, but that car's been painted 12 years, and essentially it still looks good. I mean, there's chips and scratches and dents. I drive the car. Besides the waves in the body panels, because I warped every panel welding all the trim up. I learned that too. Metal does warp. I think I was like 15. I was 15 when I welded those up. Anyways, so the paint job still looks good. That was not epoxied. That was not stripped. That still has 3 layers of paint underneath it, and bad body work and rust that I just fiberglassed over, and I mean, 15-year-old stuff, right? I was 15. I didn't know everything. I still don't know everything, so. But I learned a lot on that car. And I learned blocking is very important. I don't care who you are. You can get away with DA in a panel after it's straight, not before it's straight. You can see this is all our low spots. And this primer is so thick that it will block out. What the heck? Almost all of this, maybe this dent down here won't block out, but all of this will block out. Normally what I like to do is 80 grit, then 180 in this step, and then reprime. But sometimes you won't be able to get the 80 grit scratches out, and I just can't run that risk. So we're going 180, a little bit more effort, but it's okay. It's coming along. I should have most of this done today, and then we'll do all the edges and stuff over the weekend, and hopefully by next week it'll be close for reprime and doing all the door jams and getting all of this stuff fixed. That's gonna be a job in itself. So yeah, 100 hours. What's that worth? What's the car worth? What's my time worth? That's a big question. Also, this car's not getting torn apart. Fenders are on, doors are on. I gotta replace tailgate, but the tailgate will be on it. The hood's the only thing that I took off. I normally like taking all the body panels off, but I can't risk breaking bolts or spending too much time on jamming this thing out. It'll still look good. Again, it'll look totally fine. Chris's truck, the purple truck that I did, gosh, probably a couple years ago at this point. No, it's 24, 23, yeah. Coming on 2 years ago. That truck, I literally 320 DA'd, 400 DA'd, and sprayed it. Epoxy, and straight into single stage. That was probably the cheapest you could go, relatively. The truck actually looked decent. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but for, I think I had 40 hours into that truck with everything being painted. Sanded, painted, cleaned, washed, ready, you know, everything. So that's about as low as I can go. And I mean, I did that one just as a buddy thing. So I would not do that again for somebody else, because I don't like doing it that way, but it comes out fine if you know what you're doing. Hopefully this microphone's not just getting beat up. Body work takes a long time. And if you mess up, it takes twice as long. And you're gonna mess up. And now I'm just trying to get all the low spots out. Like I said, there's enough material on this door. So that's where I'm stopping. Whenever there's a burn through, just very lightly, there's still a slight layer of primer on there, but a little burn through. I'm done. All right, we got a lot of this side of the car done. There's that dent I missed. The door came out pretty good. The fender came out pretty good. The tops of everything. Still working on the bottom of this side. Haven't touched the hood yet. And the passenger side is pretty much done besides this bottom arch wheel opening and everything. Everything else is pretty straight. A couple small spots, like right there. Everything else looks pretty good. A couple dings right there, there and there. Everything else is pretty straight. So we're gonna go ahead and end the video here. I'm gonna finish up all the edges and the bottoms of the quarter panels. And on the next video, we're gonna be doing hopefully not too much spot priming. We'll go ahead and get this primed as well while we're doing the spot priming. And then we'll be moving on to final prime, which is gonna be door jams, trunk jams, under the hood, all that stuff. This is a pretty good result for DA sanding the whole car, using an air file and a mud hog just to walk over everything, and then I just sprayed it. So the fact that the car is this straight, pretty much without doing a whole lot of body work. I mean, I did a lot of body work, but I just kind of ran over everything and then sealed it up with the polyester. The fact that most of it blocked out is really nice. Second round should really dial this in. And then we will move on to paint, which is going to be exciting. This thing's going to go brown and a champagne top. So like a gold, beige, champagne-y color with like a root beer brown. And we're going to do door jams and trunk jams and all that. So look out for that video. This is going to be probably a couple weeks before I get back on this car. At least for the videos for you guys. I'm going to keep working on it and get all the small things done. That way I don't bore you. Hopefully I don't already bore you, but I'm not gonna bore you with all the small stuff. And then we'll get back to it. Final prime and then paint. So thanks for watching, like and subscribing, doing all the things that, you know, the YouTube people say. Yeah, hopefully you guys learned something, and hopefully I explained what I was trying to explain in this video. I was kind of rambling, but essentially I just wanted to talk about how much labor is involved and how far up the ladder of paint quality you want out of your project. If you're gonna do it, or if you're gonna have a shop do it, just kind of know where the limitations are with your budget, or with the shop's ability, or any combination of that. So hopefully I explained that pretty well. It takes a lot of time to do any paint job, let alone a nice paint job, and let alone a correct paint job. So not saying that this one's completely correct. This is doing within the budget that we have. So it's gonna turn out nice, like I said, and hopefully you guys learned something. Thanks for watching.